Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Marris, and apparently I make book videos now. I thought this was an art channel and maybe some cars, but apparently it's books now. It's also 100 degrees outside and I'm wearing a sweater, and I do not regret my decision. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have been kind of having difficulty with my bookshelf over the past year. I really love the look of old Victorian libraries where everything is leather bound, everything matches or in some way matches with the same vibe, and my books that I own now just don't do that. Some of them are if you're familiar with the ACOTAR series, they are very bright colors, and then there's others that just every book series has a different color scheme, which I understand, and I understand the authors wanting to create a certain look for their series, but it doesn't work for me, and I personally prefer to read paperbacks. That's just my preference. I feel like I can really manhandle them a lot easier than with a hardcover. So I don't have the option of taking the sleeves off, which I think would help my situation slightly. So what I've been doing for the past year, maybe over a year, is if we look, this isn't the bookshelf in question, but if we look up here, all of my books are turned backwards. And I get so many questions every time I post, a story of my bookshelf. I get asked, why are the books backwards? Are the books that are turned backwards the ones you've read already? How do you find your books in your bookshelf? And honestly, I've kind of memorized where everything is because luckily I only have about 100 books, but it is difficult. So I was Googling around because I saw on TikTok way long ago someone made sleeves, like slip-on covers for their paperbacks, and they were saying that they had templates on their Etsy you could print out, and you can make a sleeve just as easily for a paperback as you can a hardcover, because that's a big thing in the book community, especially with the fantasy genre, is getting alternative sleeves for your books, because sometimes the production sleeves are not always the best. While doing that research on YouTube, I found this lady who, I don't remember her name, and it was just a lady with her phone, but she covers all of her paperbacks in contact paper. So she just gets clear contact paper and wraps her books in it so that it preserves the paperback covers a little bit better, because if you're familiar with paperback books, once you handle them a certain amount of times, sometimes the covers will start to fray or they'll start to peel, especially if they have that glossy top finish on them. That will start to peel off. I know my Twilight books did that. If you have the mass-produced bigger Twilight books. But then I thought, well, they make colored contact paper, and then I was doing some more Googling because, another side of TikTok that I'm on is renter-friendly DIYs. So there's lots of contact paper and peel and stick wallpaper on there that people use around their house, and it seems to be pretty simple and easy to work with. So I bought myself a roll of wallpaper from Amazon. It was 16 inches by 78 inches, and there was probably 75 inches of usable material. The last 3 inches where it rolled around the tube was a little bit wrinkled and just worn out, so it didn't look very nice. But I figured out that I can wrap my books in wallpaper. So that's what this video is. What I decided to do was, like I said, I really like that old library aesthetic with that rich, warm wood built-in bookshelves and all of the leather-bound books with gold or silver embossing and all of that. In the past, I have tried to rebind my paperbacks in leather. That is very difficult. That is very time-consuming. The materials are expensive, and really to have all of the tools to do it, it's $1,000 worth of bookbinding tools to do it the correct way, and I just don't have the time, the money, the patience to do that. So this is a wonderful alternative for people who are crazy like me and want their bookshelf to look nice. So I'll kind of like walk you through it first, and then I'll talk about how I organize my bookshelf and kind of my thought process behind it. The very first thing you're going to do is obviously measure your book and cut out a piece of wallpaper that is the appropriate size. Now you want to make sure you have an extra inch both in width and height, because you are going to be folding over the edges so that it has a good hold and it looks nice and clean from the inside and from the outside. Another thing which I forgot to take into account in some of these is obviously you need to take into account the width of the book also, because the paper will be wrapping around the edge of the book. So if you only allow yourself an extra, say the book is 5 inches wide, if you only allow yourself 10 inches, it's not going to make it all the way around because the book might be an inch thick. So you want to have the width times 2 plus whatever that spine length is, and then add another inch to that for your wraparound. If that makes sense. So once you have your piece cut to the appropriate length, you're gonna lay the front cover facing down on your piece of wallpaper with the adhesive backing still on it. What I did was I flipped up everything except that front cover, and taped it down with masking tape so that the book didn't slide around, because once you get it lined up, you don't want it to move around a lot, because then you won't get perfectly straight edges, if that makes sense. You just want to make sure everything's lined up evenly and straight. So once you have that taped down, I started on one side and I peeled up the adhesive backing just a little bit. You got to kind of like finagle it so you don't rip your tape up, and kind of roll it underneath the cover. And then once you have about an inch uncovered from the adhesive backing, you go ahead and lay the book down and get that one starter edge stuck. Once you have that edge stuck down, you fold over the end that has already had the adhesive backing taken off. So you go ahead and give the wallpaper something nice to grip onto. Then you can remove your tape and pick the book up, flip it over, and be ready to start wrapping it. I feel like that isn't a good explanation, but it'll be on video, so you'll figure it out. So once you have that first edge down and folded over, I got a wallpaper kit, and there was a little smoothing tool, I forget what they're called, like a little squeegee thingy, but it has a felt edge on it, and I will link everything that I got. Everything I got is from Amazon, and I will link it down below. It has a little felt edge on it, which is nice because the brand of wallpaper I used, you could scratch it if you handle it too much, or if you like fold it in half, it creates a crease that is visible and it won't come out. So I liked that this little squeegee tool had that felt on there so that it wouldn't scratch up. Like if it was straight plastic, I feel like it would scratch up the wallpaper. So then you'll just start smoothing out the wallpaper across the front cover of the book. Once you get to the spine edge, make sure you get a really crisp edge. Flip the book over, make sure you squeegee up the spine so that you don't get bubbling on the spine, and then make another really crisp edge from the spine onto the back cover. And then do the same thing, squeegee across the back. And if you measured correctly, you should have about half an inch of excess left over once you take all of the adhesive backing off. So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna want to fold that outer edge you're gonna fold that excess edge on the back cover in like you did on the front cover. And here's where the fun part comes. How do I describe this? Okay, you're going to cut a 45-degree angle on all of your excess edges, because if you were to fold everything in with the extra material, it would create bunching and you wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't give you a smooth finish. So you're gonna cut 45-degree angles on all of your edges and fold all of your edges in, your sides and your top and your bottom. And then you should be left with a little trapezoid piece of wallpaper on either side of the spine. And what I did was I just took my X-Acto knife and I trimmed that off. So then also on Amazon, I got gold and silver permanent markers, metallic permanent markers. And some of my books were embossed on the front, like this one, The Hobbit, it is embossed on the front, so you can read the title from the front, but the ones that weren't embossed, I went ahead and wrote the title and the author on the front. And then on the spine, I write just the title, and then I did a thin line, a thick line, and a thin line on the top, and the same on the bottom, and it gives kind of that vintage feel to it. You don't have to do this, I just thought it was cute. So yeah, and that's it finished. I've gotten it down to about 10 minutes per book. The project actually went pretty well, even with me winging it the whole time, which I'm very happy about. It's pretty user-friendly, I would say. So now how I organized everything. I have a few different colors I like, and I just bought land for a new house, and I will be building a house there, and in the new house I will have a room that's exclusively dedicated to being my library, which I'm very excited about. And I kind of have my inspo picked out for the library, but I'm not 100% set on it. What I'm going for is kind of like built-ins that are a warm stained walnut, and then emerald green and gold furniture and accents and things like that. But I didn't want to do one color across the board for all of my books because I thought that might be a little bit bland. I don't know, I think I would get bored of it, so I wanted to have color variation. So this is how I've color coded the books. All of my classics are that dark green color that The Hobbit is in. So that was things that I read in school, like Beowulf, Hamlet, Wuthering Heights, As I Lay Dying, all of that fun stuff. I also included the Chronicles of Narnia series in there too, but everything that is classics with that dark green color has gold lettering on it, except for the Chronicles of Narnia books that had silver lettering on it. I don't know why, because it just felt right to me, because I wanted those to be distinguishable against all of the others, because it is a series. And I do that a little bit throughout the different color variations. I do different series in different colors just to give myself some point of reference to help me figure out what is what on the bookshelf. So then all of my young adult and fantasy, which those normally, most of my young adult is, I think all of it is fantasy actually, that is in a maroon color. Now, I will say, the maroon color that I got was a different brand than all of the others, and it was semi-transparent. So, fun thing that I had to do was paint all of the books black before I wrapped them, because you could still see through and see what was printed on them, and I wanted a clean look. So the other company that I used for the green and the brown and the black and the silver, that company does have a red. It was just only available in 400 inches, and that was way more than I needed. So I tried to find another brand. My mistake. Don't do that. Would not recommend. But I had to do that for all of them, so they do look slightly different. But all of my young adult fantasy is in a nice medium red, dark red maroon color. And Harry Potter is in gold, of course. I wanted the Gryffindor colors. I felt like it was fitting for those. And then I think everything else is in silver. And then I have my adult fantasy. My adult fantasy is in brown, and I will say, when I ordered it online, it was supposed to be a chocolate brown, which I guess technically it is a chocolate brown, but I was picturing like a deep like coffee brown, and this is like a medium brown, and I wish it was a little bit darker because I feel like it would fit the vibe better, but it's fine. So those are things like From Blood and Ash, Touch of Darkness, and then the Game of Fate series, which is kind of interchangeable. 2 adult fantasy series that are not in brown. Well, I guess not series, but all of Sarah J. Maas's books are black with gold lettering. And then everything by the Zodiac Sisters, so the authors that wrote the Zodiac Academy series, those are in black but with silver writing. Because eventually, once I get into Throne of Glass, and once I get into the Ruthless Fae series, I feel like I'm going to have entire shelves of just those authors. So Sarah J. Maas will have her own shelf on my bookshelf, and the Zodiac Sisters will have their own shelf on my bookshelf. So I wanted them to kind of be a little bit different and stand out apart from everything else, even though they do fit into that adult fantasy genre. Another author I did that with is, I don't know her name, the author who wrote Shadow and Bone. All of my Grisha verse books will be in navy with silver writing. So the Shadow and Bone trilogy, the Six of Crows duology, and then King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, and then if that continues, I haven't read those yet, so I don't know if there will be more of them. But everything set in the Grishaverse will be that navy blue with silver writing, so that will stand alone as well. Then lastly, what fueled this decision was I accidentally bought a hardcover of Gods and Monsters, which is the 3rd book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. I accidentally bought it in hardcover because I didn't realize it had just come out and it was only available in hardcover. My bad. But when you take the sleeve off of it, it is a light gray with, I believe, silver, either silver or gold, I don't know, silver embossed lettering. So I decided to do all of my books pertaining to witches, in terms of like fiction books pertaining to witches, in that color scheme. So a light gray with silver lettering. So that is like Circe, that is the entire Serpent and Dove series, Kingdom of the Wicked, things like that. Those will all be in that color. My camera just died, which is fun. Anyways, I mean, I think that's about it. So I kind of told you my color coding system and what all goes into it. So yeah, I hope this video is helpful. I'm sorry if I talked too much or my verbal instructions were lacking, but hopefully the video helps a little bit and you can kind of figure it out. If you have any questions, let me know. All the materials I used will be linked below, and yeah, I don't know if anyone else is crazy enough to do this to their books, but if you do, I guess let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something or it was semi-helpful. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.